Hey everybody, welcome back to Nikki T Live. I'm your host Nick Taylor, and today I'm hanging out with Eleftheria Batsou. LF, how are you doing today?
Hi, thank you for having me here on your show. I'm doing great. It's a very sunny day here in Greece, where I'm coming
Oh,
from,
nice.
and I'm looking forward to our chat.
Yeah, so am I. And also I'm in Montreal, like I was mentioning to you before the stream, and it's a very beautiful day here as well. I think it's about 26 degrees Celsius here. Um, oh, hello Parker, thanks for joining us. Um, yeah, it's kind of funny. I This probably doesn't happen in Greece, but like people associate Canada with being very cold and snow all the time, and which I
Yeah.
understand why they do. But we have like where I live, the summers can get as hot as Greece and like humid, and so it's there's definitely cold winters, but like it can be like super warm here all the way up until like September, sometimes even October. So like I think the hottest summer we had here was in recent years was maybe 42 Celsius, which was pretty hot.
Oh.
But it usually doesn't get that hot, but it's usually in the 30s in Celsius. So it's definitely nice weather here, but it's very humid. Is Greece very humid, or is it more dry? Or
I would say it's more dry. Some areas
okay,
have the humidity, and although, for example, I do live very near in the sea, the humidity is okay. The thing is that the temperature can go a little bit higher than what you described. Right
okay,
now, we have like 36 Celsius, so it's a
okay.
lot.
Yeah, yeah.
But it can go like to 40, 42. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Oh, we have a few people in the chat here. I see Bjorn's there as well, and Arindam. Thanks to both of you for joining us as well. Yeah. So for folks who might not know who you are, Eleftheria, we've been following each other on socials and like Dev2 and stuff for years, I think. But this is the first time I get to chat with you, and so I'm excited to learn some things about you as well. But for folks who might have never met you or know who you are, could you kind of give a bit of background as to, I guess, maybe how you got into programming or front end or whatever? So.
Yeah, sure. So, for the folks who are also joining us right now, I will introduce myself once again. So, I'm Eleftheria, but you can call me Elef, and I'm coming from Greece. Short, funny story. My name in Greece means also freedom or liberty. So,
Oh,
you got the
nice.
good word. Yeah.
Cool.
And I started like as many people, at least here in my country. So I went to the university and it was
Okay.
computer science. It was actually an engineering university. And when I was
Okay.
18 and I had to choose what I would do with my life, I knew that I really liked maths, I liked
Okay.
physics, I like stuff around electricity. So I really, really wanted to go into engineering. But as you saw, I didn't mention computer science. I didn't mention programming because at 18, I I didn't I didn't have a lot of knowledge in that. We didn't do in
Okay.
school anything like that. But I have also one sister, and she went to the same university as I did. But at
Okay.
that time, I didn't know that. So she went in that university, and she was telling me how much she liked it, the classes that she was doing, and pretty much I liked the same stuff as her. So I said, okay, I will go to that university as well. And from financial perspective, it was easier for me to go to the same university as my sister did.
Okay.
So I went there, and as I started taking up all these classes, I started understanding what computer science is. I started understanding more about programming and coding, and that's how I fell in love with that.
Okay.
And how I choose front end is that I had an opportunity again to do an internship, and I could
Okay.
choose whatever I wanted. So first I did it's only for a few months, like a little bit less than 6 months. So I did one when I was in my third year,
Okay.
and I started understanding more how jobs are working and what people are looking for. And at that time I was doing, as I said, more front end stuff in that internship, and I liked it even more. So in my
Oh,
free
that's
time
awesome.
after that internship, yeah, I started looking for things on my own. And then, as soon as I graduated from the university, I did one more internship. And this time it was in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam. It
Oh,
was the
nice.
first time that, yeah, it was the first time that I was leaving the country. I really wanted to go abroad and expand my knowledges a little bit more. So I went in Amsterdam. I did this internship. It was again around front end stuff.
Hmm.
I realized this time that this is truly what I want to do. And yeah, that's how I started being in this field.
Oh, that's awesome. And Esty in the chat over on YouTube is saying, yes, tech girls. So she's very excited to have you here. Um, no, that's awesome. And yeah, so like, I I remember, I forget when we started. It always sounds weird to say following somebody on Twitter or X, but we started following each other at some point, and I've been kind of following a lot of stuff you do. You blog a lot. I'm not sure if you do video content, but I know you.
I
Oh, you
used to
do.
do,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. And I know you've given like a lot of talks. I always see you like, oh, just wrapped up this talk and stuff. And so I guess we were talking, and you came from the front end, but you decided at some point to move towards developer
Right.
relations. And yeah, just curious, I guess what made that decision, or were you getting bored of front end, or you just like the community, or a combination,
Yeah,
or
I can give you the full story if you want of how I made this change, because also a lot of people ask me as well. So, as I said, I was working with front end, and I was very excited with what I was doing. At the same time that I was working, I was also writing articles, as we mentioned,
hmm.
and I was doing YouTube videos where I would coding something live. I really liked, for example, I still do, I really like CSS and creating cute stuff, with CSS art. And I was doing that a lot on YouTube. I also started using more social media. So now we are talking like
Okay,
5, 6, 7 years ago, maybe five
okay.
years ago as well. I was also using social media a lot, and I was saying, "Hey, check that! I did this and this,"
Hmm.
and people would start following me probably because they had same interests with me, or
Yeah.
maybe I was also trying to learn new stuff, and I was very public
Okay.
about that. Every time I was taking a new course, I would speak about that. I would speak about my progress. I would share links on GitHub every time I was doing something. I was
Okay.
asking feedback. So all of these things helped me to grow my Twitter or X account, or call it however you like. And the articles and the YouTube videos also helped me to be seen by some people. For example,
Yeah.
we mentioned the conferences. Some people that were organizing conferences around the world, but mostly in Europe, they saw what I was doing, and they
Okay.
said, "Okay, do you want to come in my conference? And you don't have to give a technical talk. Maybe you could speak about your journey, about how you're learning, about all the things that you're doing publicly," because a lot of people want to do that, but I
Hmm.
guess they don't always do it. It also
Okay.
depends
Yeah.
on the person, and that's okay. uh, but that's also how I started taking part in conferences and being a
Okay.
speaker. So my first talks, like a lot of them, I have more than 10 talks that I'm speaking only about my journey and about the things that I was doing. And
Okay.
the funny part is that that's how actually companies learned about me. And they said, okay, since you are doing all those stuff in a public way, and since we are looking for developer advocates, and
Yeah.
again, the developer advocates, something that they are doing is that they will go to conferences, which I was doing. They will write articles. I was doing that. They will do sometimes YouTube videos. I was doing that. They build a community. I was doing that. So it's like they already had my CV because it was public.
Okay.
And that's pretty much how I changed for being a front end developer to being a DevRel person.
Okay. Yeah, no, there was it's somebody had a question of your speaker's journey, so Arindam was wondering, but I think you kind of answered it by saying you got invited, and um,
Yeah.
eh,
But
yeah,
after that, if I may add, I also started to applying myself to conferences. So I don't want
okay,
to give the wrong impression that people just started asking me, "Hey, come to my conference," and everything is cool and fine. That was
okay,
how I started, and that's how I learned about conferences. Because I'm coming from Greece, and Greece doesn't have like still doesn't have a lot of conferences. I have
hmm,
been in conferences in Europe a lot of times. Like sometimes I'm traveling once a month, sometimes a
okay,
little bit more, sometimes a little bit less. But here in Greece, my whole life I've done like 2 or 3 conferences. So we are
okay.
speaking mostly for Europe.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No. And I guess the nice thing about being in Europe is the distance to travel isn't as much. Like even in North America, like for example, where I live, if you were to drive across the whole province I live in, that would be like driving through 5 countries in Europe, probably, or maybe more. It's like I can't remember the size, but basically, it's a bit different. So like traveling to North America coming from Europe can definitely be a challenge, probably. Same thing for North America going to Europe. I'm hoping to give a talk in Europe at some point, but there's a question in the chat for you as well from SC. She's curious. Do you enjoy developer advocacy more than front end, or is it
Yeah, I think that this time and at the stage that I am right now, I am very happy with what I'm doing. And right now, I'm focusing on building communities. So that's what I'm
okay?
doing in the last companies that I've worked in. The companies, and this is a maybe a tip or an advice for people who also want to do something similar, is that companies, they are looking for developer advocates, but they usually prefer people that they have a technical background.
Yeah.
So the companies also saw my technical background. As I mentioned, I was doing the YouTube videos was where I was doing CSS stuff, or I was writing articles that had a technical background.
Yeah.
And yeah, right now I may enjoy building communities and being on social media. I really love that. But I think the technical stuff will always be in my heart, and I will continue doing that. For example, right now I'm learning Rust, which has
Yeah.
nothing to do with front end, but I still do technical things.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, no, yeah, I've saw you've been doing some Rust tutorials recently. I think you made a Rust game recently.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's another. Yeah, I have a feeling there's going to be a bunch of questions about developer advocacy and speaking here. But Arundam's wondering if you have any tips to prepare and submit good CFPs that'll get selected. Also, hello, Cassie. Thanks for joining us. Uh,
Hi. So my tip is that my tips are because I've also been on the other side. So recently I've also been a reviewer. And again, for the people who might not know that, there
mhm.
is a conference, but people can apply to these conferences, and then there are some other people. They are called
Okay.
either a program committee or judges uh,
Yeah.
that will, let's say, judge your proposal. So my tip would be to not be afraid to share a lot of details, because the
Okay.
reviewers sometimes they will read a few lines and they don't understand what your talk is all about, and then they have to go back to you, find you, like
Okay.
send a message or something. But I know that not all of the reviewers will do that. So my tip
Okay.
would be to share a lot of stuff, don't be afraid of that, and then have a
Hmm.
catchy title, not a
Yeah.
clickbait or something, but have a catchy title, because that's the first thing that the reviewer is going to see.
Yeah, that makes sense because if you have a very boring title, potentially like I don't know,
Yeah,
the
and
Rust language, like that's pretty. I mean, they know what that is, but like that's pretty boring if you're like
yeah.
make an amazing game in Rust or I don't know something. Like it's yeah.
Yeah, you need to have something cool. And there has been times that, for example, they accepted my talk, my talk, but they said, okay, please change your title, because although we like your
Okay.
stuff, we don't like the title.
Okay. Yeah. So you just work with this speaker, I guess the conference uh, staff to just
Yeah,
make things
yeah.
go there. Okay. Cool. There's a few more questions here. And Arindam says, thanks, LF. We'll try to implement that. Um, Also, another question from Arindam. Just curious, how much technical work do you do in your daily work? So to be clear, in case for some folks who just joined, so you're a full-time developer advocate over at CrabNebula right now, correct? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
So right now, my full title is that I work in the developer advocacy department, but
Okay.
I am a community manager. So
Okay.
this means that I'm focusing more on the community stuff and a little bit of social media, and then organizing stuff like meetups, or our own engineers, the engineers that we have in our company, they go to other conferences. So I will
Okay.
help them with the stuff around the conferences. Sometimes my company does giveaway, so usually I'm the person behind that. um yeah, this is what I mainly do for my job. I don't do a lot of technical stuff because I
Okay.
focus with the community. But for example, my company is all about trust and all about Tauri, and that's why I'm also learning Rust, because I want to be able to help them in the best way that I can, and not only my company but also the community and the folks that I'm talking with. We
Okay.
have social media, but we also have a Discord server. People can go there, ask questions. So I want to
Okay.
be as helpful as possible. So yeah,
Okay.
but you will
Yeah.
not see my code in production or anything like that. No, I don't do
Okay.
that.
Cool. Yeah, I dropped a link to Crab Nebula, and I'm I'm just gonna go ahead and for anybody that's interested in checking out the Discord, I'm gonna drop a link to that as well. It's available on the Crab Nebula homepage as well, but I just dropped that in there as well.
Can
Let
you
me
give me
just.
like 2 minutes to do a shout out to my company?
Yeah, 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 for sure, for sure. Yeah. So like I said, I dropped the link, but yeah. So I guess what is Crab Nebula for people who might not know what it is?
Okay, thank you. So CrabNebula, it's a startup company. We've been for about 2 years or something. Right now we are about 30 people in the company. I don't know the exact number, but something like that.
Okay.
And we have like 3 4 developer advocates with me. So I belong to a team, I'm not alone. So CrabNebula right now has 3 products. This is cloud. We launched 3 4 months ago. And
Okay.
then we have DevTools. DevTools is about, yeah, thank you for sharing that. We
Yeah, yeah.
also, if you go to products and services, you will see that we have Cloud, DevTools, and Tarify. These are our 3 products. And then we have security, and we do consultancy. All of
Okay.
those things are mostly about Rust and Tauri. Tauri, for
Okay.
the folks again who might not know that, is an open source framework that you can build applications on desktop but also on mobile, and it supports everything. So it's a really cool thing. And for example, DevTools, which is again a product that we launched a few months ago. I really like DevTools. So it's the usual DevTools, but it helps you to build better applications in Tauri. So if you are a
Okay.
Tauri or a Rust developer, I think that you will really like that one. It's also free, that so everyone can use that.
Okay.
Then the other product that we are working on is Tarify. We hope that we will launch that one soon. We have some stuff on that YouTube video,
Okay.
but
I'll drop a
it's not
link
a
to the
finished
YouTube so
product.
people can check it out.
Thank you. And then, as I mentioned, we also do some security stuff or consulting for other companies. Mainly, we work with other open source frameworks or companies or projects or whatever. And we have a very vivid community on Discord. If anyone
Okay.
has like any questions regarding this kind of stuff, they can also reach me on my personal social media, and I will help them out.
Okay. Cool. No, that's awesome. Yeah, I was. I was mentioning to you before this the live stream. I got a chance to hang out with your coworker Attila Facina. I
Yeah,
think it was either at the start of this year or the end of last year. I can't remember, but yeah, he's a big fan of solid JS, which a lot of people use with Tari.
yeah,
And so we talked about that, but we talked about Tari a bit as well. And but it's pretty neat. I haven't used Tari much that myself yet, aside from like a Hello World kind of thing. But from what I've understood, it's like a competitor to Electron, but it's built in Rust. It has a smaller footprint, runs faster. I mean, I think you could make anything run slow if you wanted to potentially, but basically it's touted as being like more performant. I think is one of the reasons.
yeah, yeah. Those things are correct. I don't want to say my personal opinion on that because I work there, so it's going to be weird, like saying only good stuff about the things that I'm working or my company is working. But I will say what other people are saying about IRE, which is
Okay.
one about the security, and the second stuff is that you can build a very small apps, which is cool because you have that less environmental things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm also trying to speak with the community that we have on Tauri
Okay.
and see what people want, what they are building, and also why they choose Tauri instead of Electron or any other framework.
Yeah, no, no, for sure, for sure. And just in the chat again, Este's saying, "I love the name CrabNebula. Was my background for a long time. I'm not
Oh,
sure. I'm not sure if you mean you had it as a desktop background or you were messing around with CrabNebula. I'm not sure, but and then oh yeah, somebody just said thanks for sharing. So that's great. Yeah, it's an interesting project. Like I said, I haven't worked with Tari a lot, and you do, like you said, you provide developer tooling for it to improve the experience. But I know, like again, in my limited knowledge, um, Electron it ships with Node.js, and that makes it very large. Whereas Tari, I believe, uses the native web views of the operating system. So like if you were on Mac, it would be Safari or WebKit, I guess, and then I forget what it is on Windows. I guess it's Microsoft Edge, which is Chromium, I guess.
yeah,
But yeah, so that's no, it's definitely interesting because that's definitely something that does bloat the size of the software. Is you're literally shipping a whole version of Node.js, so and the
yeah.
browser, sorry, as well as Chromium. So
Yeah, there are a lot of people who has done these changes, and they always speak about how smaller the size is with Tauri.
yeah, oh, and then people are just yeah, because I forgot to mention it, but then I mentioned it. But yeah, people are saying yeah, it ships with Electron, has Chromium and Node.js, which is why it does become pretty big. So cool, yeah. Um, Yeah, I wonder if somebody will ever port Visual. I wonder if Microsoft would ever port Visual Studio Code to Tari. There's a lot of like a lot of. I would say probably not, just because like it's so mature at this point. But there's a lot of stuff like we were talking about front end before, but a lot of Rust kind of seeps into front end, like for tooling, but also like WASM and all that stuff, like WebAssembly. So I don't know. I'm curious to see
Yeah.
where things go.
This is something that we also discuss from time to time. It would be very
Okay.
cool.
Oh, that's awesome. So, so you're leading community over there right now, and I guess I used to work. We were talking about this briefly before the stream too, but I used to work at. Oh, Attila's here. Hey, good to see you, my man. Um, Attila's just saying about Tari. It also puts the responsibility on the developer side to update their app every time a CVE comes into Chromium or Node itself. Ah, that's true. So this is tying into what you were saying about the security aspect too. I mean, Rust is inherently more secure in general,
Yeah.
but that's a good point about like if you have to update Electron just because Node got a fix. So that's a great point, Attila. And also thanks for joining us. Um, And if you aren't giving SD, or not SD, sorry, if you're not giving Attila, well, follow SD as well. But if you haven't been following Attila, go give him a follow right now, as well as Eleftheria. Um, so yeah, I guess in regards to community, I'm curious, like, have you had any challenges? Like, I know, like when I worked at Dev too, like even though, because you're mentioning before the stream, you thought I was a developer advocate over there,
Yeah.
but I was doing engineering full time. But I think like you, even though I didn't become a developer advocate, I just really like interacting with the developer community, and it was kind of interesting because we were building a product that was building a community. So I saw a lot of pain points in building community, because like Dev 2, I think right now has over a million monthly active members now, and it's like moderation is a big thing. So, but you're using Discord, so I guess that helps a lot with moderation, or
Yeah, yeah. I know. Because as you said, you were working on Dev 2, and I was working at Hashnode, and I was
oh,
their
that's right,
community
that's where,
manager.
yeah, I forgot
Yeah,
about that. Yeah.
yeah, I was working at Hashnode, so I can feel what you're saying. But also, right now we are using Discord, and it helps a
Okay.
lot with moderation. And I go to both CrabNebula's Discord channel or server, but also
Okay.
to Tauri's, because right now Tauri has a bigger community,
Okay.
and again, I'm trying to be there, I'm trying to be helpful, but it's the pain point is to grow a community, and the pain point is to find where your community is, because some people will go to Discord, but some other people will be on X or LinkedIn or Reddit. And
Yeah.
I also, like right now, for example, I know some, let's say, big developers that they don't use Discord. I don't know, they don't use it at all. So you have to reach people to the communities that they are, or on the places that they are. And right now for my company, we are using Discord, but we are also
Okay.
using Twitter, we are using LinkedIn, and we are also using Mastodon, because a lot of tech
Okay. Yeah.
people are on Mastodon.
Yeah.
But for example, we will not use Instagram, or we will not use TikTok. So far we don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm on. Also, just want to say hello to Anthony, my buddy over on Twitch. Uh, he's saying, uh, developer advocate vibes, whether you did it officially. Oh, he's saying when I worked at Dev 2. Okay. And he says, everyone who knows DevRel is 90% vibes. I don't know how accurate that is, but yeah, definitely feel good vibes is definitely helpful. Um, cool. Yeah, and he was saying, "Oh, you both worked at competing blog platforms." But to be honest, like I use Hashnode too. I haven't posted to Hashnode in a while. I was trying to post to both at one point, and I'm curious about your thoughts about this. This is just like content creation in general, but like I wonder if, because I have a very large following on Dev 2 now, and I always wondered if like going to the multiple platforms would dilute, the audience, or I feel like it could go either way. It could be like it's great that it's everywhere, or maybe it's not because of
Yeah,
the
I have
dilution.
opinions about that actually. And
Okay, I'd love to hear.
yeah. So I started when I really, really started doing all my content creation and writing blog posts. Because as I said, I've been doing that for many, many years. I started with Dev 2, and I really like Dev 2. Then I started working at Hashnode. So I
Yeah.
was using Hashnode,
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, yeah.
There's an explanation on that, yeah. But right now, I'm using Dev2, Hashnode, and Medium. And what I
Okay.
have noticed is that I use the canonical URL to share my
Yeah.
articles. So my main blog right now is on Hashnode, but as I said, I have Dev2 and Medium. So what I noticed is that different articles perform better in different platforms.
Yeah.
And sometimes even articles that are in a similar topic, for example, all my latest articles are about Rust. I have like 10, 12 articles about Rust, maybe more, I don't remember.
Hmm.
Actually, I have more. even if I'm talking about Rust, sometimes those articles will perform better on Hashnot. Some other times they will
Okay.
do better on Medium, and some other times on Dev2. So it's because people are asking me the same thing. Why did you pick one platform over the other? I didn't pick a platform. I post
Okay.
everywhere because my audience is everywhere, and if you want to build an audience, I would
Hmm.
say post everywhere, because you did all the hard work. You wrote a technical article, or even not a technical article, but I usually, you believe in your article, you believe that you did a nice job in that, and you really really want people to read at your article.
Yeah.
So go everywhere, post it everywhere. And for the people that never wrote an article, I have to say that it's time consuming. It's not
Yeah.
just writing the article, but then you need to have a good title, you need to have a good cover image, you need sometimes to have tags, you need to fill up the code or whatever you're
Hmm.
doing. Sometimes you need to fill some other images, maybe diagrams. So it's a lot. It's not just writing a couple of things and you're done.
Yeah. No. For sure. Yeah. No. Thanks for sharing that. I. I think I'll probably start posting to Hashnode again. I guess the one thing I'm wondering is, should I like bring all my existing articles, or does that not make sense, or just start posting new ones? Because like I know, because what I used to do was because, uh, and if I'm being honest, I think Hashnode has a better editor. Like the one it's just different. The way I have my blog set up right now is I write my blog posts on Dev 2, and then I actually pull in through the API and it publishes to my own blog post. I have this whole workflow, but I know, uh, I guess for people out there, they're both great platforms. And but Hashnode, I think you can sync it with a GitHub repository now,
Mm,
so you
yeah,
could,
true.
yeah, so you can do that as well. And there's a lot of AI aspects to the editor now, I think, as well.
Correct. Yeah.
But uh, but yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just I have it's a very different amount of people and in the audience that I have. Like I have almost like 100,000 people on Dev 2, and then like
Wow.
on and then like I think that's mainly because I worked there. So like I was always active on there for like 4 years, but on Hashnode, I think I have like 130 people. So it's like major difference. So I
That's
guess,
okay, but I think that maybe people on Hashnote don't know you, so they will start
yeah,
following you from scratch, and you will continue to have your community on Dev2, and then you will start building a community on Hashnote as well.
yeah, no, it's a really good point. I
So
think
I,
I
I
think I'll
have
start
to
posting
say,
there.
yeah, I have to say that I also believe that Hashnote has quite a better editor, and sometimes I use it for other stuff as well. But Dev2 has a really huge community,
Yeah,
and like a very common question that I was getting is, what's the difference with posting with the articles? Because on Dev2 more people used to see those articles, but on Hashnote not so many people see the same article. And
yeah,
I have to say, I don't know why. I don't know what's the difference in SEO or stuff like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, no, and also just to what Eleftheria was mentioning before, if you do post to multiple platforms, or if you have like your own blog, whatever it is, whether that's Hashnode or you have like your own site, definitely leverage the canonical URL. That I use that too. So like, and it's super important because when search engines go looking for your articles, if there's multiple articles and it's the same thing and there's no canonical URL, I think you'll end up getting ranked lower in
Yeah.
Google because of that. So, but yeah, so I know. Yeah, I'm gonna have to put some time into getting back up to speed on Hashnode there. But they have a lot of import features too, and I've noticed it's improved over time for like uh, importing Dev 2 articles, because they've had import from Dev 2 for a long time, but it's it's different because on Dev 2, for folks who don't know, it's a Ruby on Rails application, so it uses liquid tags for like embedded stuff, whereas Hashnode, as far as I know, is a Next.js app, so it's all full stack Node.js front end React. So like it used to have problems when you would import it. It would like import the embedded thing, but just as the string it was. And but I've noticed now that they're able to import the YouTube just like I had it on Dev 2 and stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna start. I think I'm gonna start. I'm gonna port my most recent one because it's doing well on Dev 2. It's a React article, but yeah, I think I'll just start porting them all. It doesn't take that much time. It's pretty easy with the importer. But also, just wanted to say hello to Chris Jarvis over on Twitch, and also hey Learner0418. Good to see you as always. Um, yeah, no, I think that's great, and I kind of had the reason why I was asking that question. It wasn't so much about writing content, but that too. It's I kind of wonder the same thing with like streaming because, um, like I
Mhm.
was mentioned to you, like I love doing the live streams is one of my favorite things to do during the week. But I
Yeah.
still don't have like a massive following, which doesn't bother me. But that's why I was wondering, like, am I diluting my audience by potentially streaming to multiple places? But it seems like I think today is proving me wrong because there's a bunch of people on YouTube and some people over on Twitch. So I guess just keep streaming everywhere.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a lot of experience with streaming because when I used to stream only on YouTube.
Okay.
But for example, recently with my company, we do some streams, and maybe we were not very clear when we started our stream, and people maybe didn't know us very well. So we were
Okay.
streaming on YouTube, we were streaming on social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, and then at some point we were like, okay, we will take questions, and we
Yeah.
started reading the questions, but people from YouTube couldn't see the questions from Twitter. So when we were saying
Yeah.
something, they were like, okay, where is that? Then we would say something from YouTube, and the people on Twitter would be like, okay, where is that? Why I don't see that? So
Yeah.
maybe we should be more clear that we are streaming on multiple platforms at the same time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, yeah, no, for that problem, it's something I think sometimes people. I mean, I have like a setup for streaming now, and I'm comfortable talking with people, looking at chat and like live coding. But I think when people start doing it, they don't realize there's all those things you need to be doing at the same time. So like, and it can be challenging sometimes. But like I'm using a service called Restream, which is similar to like StreamYard, and so I see all the chat from all the places, so I can see the questions. But like people on Twitch won't see it, but I can like repeat the question and say like, so and so said this, but yeah, and if you are watching the stream, I have the chat in the bottom right of the video, so you should be able to see it regardless of which platform. But yeah, that can be challenging. It's sometimes it can be hard to navigate. I
yeah,
forgot to tell you before the stream, but like I tell all the guests usually, like if you see me looking over this way, it's not because I'm watching cat videos on YouTube or something. It's just I'm just making sure the what's going on in the chat. So
how long
yeah,
did it take you to build your perfect setup?
um, it was gradual. So like I was mentioned to you before, um, before when I was because I started live streaming when I worked at Dev 2. And I did a couple streams on my own. And basically, what happened was Hacktoberfest was coming around, and oh, salut, bonjour, Alex. Thanks for joining us. Got some French shoutouts going on here. Uh, yeah, what's Anthony's saying? Nikki T was able to build a stream setup in a cave with a box of scraps. Yeah, kind of exactly like Iron Man. That's what happened. No, I basically what happened was there was a lot of things I was unaware of. Like I never understood how people brought guests onto a stream, and like I couldn't figure it out for the longest time. And then I finally asked somebody when they had me on as a guest. I said, "How do you do that?" And so like the way I used to do it was very rudimentary. I would literally share the entire Discord stage in Twitch. So it was literally
Mhm.
like people were just seeing what the Twitch stage, the Discord stage was, and that worked, but it wasn't ideal. And so I think it took me a couple years and just gradual stuff. So like like I was mentioning briefly before the stream. So like now I have like a database with all my guests, and so like the title that people see on the screen right now and the name, that's all coming from Airtable, and that's a web page in my stream. And then there's stuff like silly stuff, like I have emojis you can move around on the screen if you're on Twitch, and then there's like uh, just like animated gifs and stuff. It's literally all web technology. They're called overlays in that I'm using in OBS. So but it was gradual. But I'd say just a lot of learnings over the few years I started working at streaming, and just yeah, just stuff I picked up along the way, and also just speaking to some people. And so now when people ask, like I wrote a blog post about like how I have the stream set up, and I was thinking of doing a stream to show literally what it looks like when I'm actually streaming. I think that
That's a
might be
good
helpful.
idea, actually. I think that's a good
Yeah,
idea.
because I've had several people recently say like I want to bring a guest on. What do I do and stuff. So yeah, exactly, Anthony. A meta stream. Um, but it's yeah, I think a lot of it too is like yes, I did buy some nice things over time. Like I bought this like um, the
Ooh,
microphone arm. The
nice.
microphone I actually got sent to me. They asked me to review it, so I got a free microphone, and it's pretty. I'm enjoying it. It's the I think the company's called Fifine or Fifine. I still don't know how to pronounce it, but it's like a gaming slash streaming microphone. And I had a Blue Yeti before, but this just seems to work better. But I think one thing that really helped me with the stream, and it is a luxury item, but I bought a stream deck, and that helped me a lot.
Uh,
So
I
like
never
for
had that.
example, yeah. So like for example, if I switch the screens right now, like you're gonna see OBS on the screen here, but this is what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah,
It's kind of doing Inception and stuff, but like switching those screens and stuff, I just press a button and it does all kinds of things. So it changes the scene, but it also if the volume was muted from another scene, I make sure all the volumes are on. Or like if I go to like the starting soon page, which at the beginning there with my alpaca, that mutes everybody so like if we happen to be talking before the stream goes live, nobody will hear us. And that's definitely helped because like, and again, it's a gradual thing, because originally I used to just literally use my mouse and click and change the screen on
yeah,
OBS and stuff, and that there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm glad you brought this up because I feel like you've probably had people ask this before as well, but like, how do I get started in content creation, whether that's
yeah.
blogging or whatever? And I think the not easiest answer, but the answer really is just start doing it. It doesn't matter. Like write a blog post. My first blog post was terrible, but it didn't matter. I just started blogging, and you just keep at it.
Exactly, exactly. I absolutely agree with that. Either it's a blog post or videos. I remember in my first YouTube videos, don't watch them because the quality sucked. I didn't have a camera, so I was using the built-in camera. I didn't
Okay.
have a microphone. I didn't know how to use OBS, which is very it's terrible. And I had some situations that I thought I was streaming and I wasn't streaming.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was
Exactly.
building something, but I wasn't streaming. Or there were times that I was streaming, but I was muted and I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
I had
Totally.
yeah, I had a lot of weird stuff. So I can relate.
Yeah. No. 100%. But this is okay. All these things. These are things you learn over time. Like okay.
Yeah,
Like like I used to have like a kind of like a a, a document I would read through before I went live. So like, is my microphone on? Is my camera working? And I had this like manual checklist. And over time, I've been able to automate a lot of those things. But again, like I just started streaming. I'm trying to find like a really old one. I can't find the oldest one I have, but it's literally just my screen, my webcam, and that's it. There's nothing fancy with the chat on the bottom.
yeah.
There's none
Also,
of the.
on my very first videos, I wasn't showing my face because I was
Okay.
afraid to show my face. Uh, so yeah, then people started saying, "Okay, why can't we see you or something?"
Yeah.
So then I started doing that as well.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. No. And the interesting thing about that is like, I think a lot of people who do stream do show their face, but um, oh, I found like I think my second ever live stream. I'm gonna drop it in the chat. um, the I lost my train of thought. What were you just saying again?
I was saying that I didn't show my face on camera in the first few videos, and
Oh yeah,
then you
yeah,
want to say something. Yeah,
yeah. Well, there's a pretty well known streamer called Fireship, and he
yeah,
never shows his face. I mean, he's talking, so it's not to say that it's not impossible to stream without, or he doesn't really do live streams. He's more YouTube content, but that's just an example of you don't necessarily have to show your face. Uh,
yeah. But
yeah,
I think that people can relate more when they see a face. So they could see me when I was struggling. They could see me when I was happy with what I was doing, and yeah, I feel that having a face is just more relatable. Not that even if you don't show your face, that's okay too.
yeah, yeah. I think yeah, it all just comes back to just start doing something. And I mean, you're a great example of this. You said you started doing some stuff in public, right? Like
Yeah.
you were blogging, you were doing CS art and all that stuff, and it
Yeah, I was just
yeah.
learning, and my sorry to interrupt you,
No, no, no. Go
but
ahead.
yeah, my advice is actually just start doing something. And what I always say is, even if you don't have a lot of experience, just start doing something. If you want to write a blog post and you feel you don't have a lot of experience, still do that, because the way you are explaining something on that tutorial, on that article, is
Hmm.
something that another person, maybe they have more experience, but maybe they don't write in the same way that you write, and maybe the person that will read that article can relate more with you. Maybe they are also beginners, so they can understand better the way another beginner is explaining something, rather
Yeah,
than how a senior developer would explain something, because a senior maybe forgot the stuff that the junior don't know. But if you are a junior and you write something, other junior developers probably will relate with you. And I think that's what happened with me as well, because
yeah.
also my some of my very first articles are me solving frequent camp small exercises. So I
Hmm.
was sharing in a few lines how I solved something, and these articles are still today the articles that have the more views.
Hmm.
Like they have, I don't know, 10, 12, 15K views, and my other articles, they don't have that much. So I
Yeah.
consider this a big win, and I like to share this example, because when I wrote those articles, I was 100% beginner, and the audience that I was writing the article for, they were also 100% beginners.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think it's a really good point because like for example, like I've been working professionally since 2002. I don't really have a beginner mindset so much now. So like if I were to write the same blog post as somebody who's just starting off to learn React and I wanted to write a tutorial or like a blog post about, learning React, I have a feeling that, I mean, who knows? Because people learn in different ways, but I feel like the person with the beginner mindset, because they're literally just learning, would probably perform better. And this definitely, to your point about like, oh, there's already like 20,000 articles on React, but like, it's exactly what you said. Maybe your blog post is the one that makes somebody go, oh, now I get it. So
Yeah, yeah. And also, the other thing is that when you start writing, probably your first articles are not going to be that good, okay? Because you're just start writing right now. But that's also okay, because probably as a beginner, you also don't have a lot of followers. You probably don't have a big audience.
mhm.
So it's okay if your first articles are not amazing. because the hard truth is that not a lot of people will read them. So it's
Yeah.
okay, but as you start writing more and more, you will improve more, and you will get a bigger audience or more followers, whatever. So it's a thing that it will take time. And I would also say, don't get discouraged to do something. Just start doing. Be consistent with it. Like, consistency helps a lot, and slowly you will see all the benefits. Because also,
Hmm.
different people want different thing from writing a blog post or creating a YouTube video.
Yeah.
Maybe people want views, maybe other people want more engagement, maybe they just
Hmm.
want to share what they are doing, maybe they
Yeah.
have a crazy idea and they want validation, so that's why they're writing an article. So there are different stuff, and different stuff can work for different people.
Yeah, no, totally. And there's a question from ST about AI enhancing blog posts. We'll get to that in a minute, but um, I this kind of comes back to like how you kind of started doing speaking, and then how you got into developer experience, or sorry, developer advocacy. Um, and I think it makes sense that we're talking about this too, because the job market is pretty difficult still right now, and I have this conversation a lot with people, and it was like when I started off, I didn't have to blog, I didn't have to market myself or anything. I mean, it was still very hard for me to get my first job, and I eventually did get one, but it's you kind of have to do whatever it takes to stand out right now. And sometimes people don't want to hear that, but I really do think like somebody's definitely going to notice like you over somebody else, because like, oh, LF wrote all these blog posts. Oh, she gave a talk here and stuff, and like, um, the more that you put out there, and like you said, not everybody's going to literally read every blog post you wrote, but like I've had it happen multiple times because I post stuff on LinkedIn a lot too, and people would be like, "Oh, I see you blog a lot, or I see you live stream a lot." They don't say like I watched all these streams, but they're just aware that putting stuff out
Yeah.
there, and I think it can be super helpful. And I'd almost kind of say necessary at the moment, at least. Like, uh, it sounds I've said this before, but it sounds bad to say, but like the minimum bar to get into tech right now is a lot higher, and it's even difficult for even senior people as well in certain cases. So I think just
Mhm.
doing content creation in whatever capacity, I can't really think of any negative things about it aside from obviously it's your time. There's that obviously, but yeah.
Yeah, I can also share something similar. I remember when I had my first interview. It was not an online interview. I went to an office and I had my interview. And
Okay.
something that they asked me, which was very natural for them, was like, "Okay, what are you doing? What have you done?" And it
Mm-hmm.
was my first job. So I hadn't done. No, sorry, it was my first internship, so I
Okay.
hadn't done a lot of stuff. I was still in the university. I almost didn't do anything except of the projects that I had in my university. But
Okay.
after that interview, I started thinking, what could I do? What could I present to those people? What could I talk about? Because I couldn't talk about anything. My only
Mm-hmm.
projects were these university projects. So then the next time that I went to my first interview for a real job, not an internship, and they asked
Yeah.
me the same thing. Okay, what have you done? What can we see? And at that time, I was doing the challenge 100 days of code. So I had a lot of things to say. I was doing a lot of projects. I was very active on GitHub. And they liked that.
Mm-hmm.
It was the time that I had started writing articles, and I also felt really nice because I could speak about stuff,
Yeah.
and that got me the job. But
Okay.
even now, as I was saying, because now I belong to the DevRel department, I feel that people and companies knew my job because I was doing and I'm still doing everything publicly. Like even the Rust things that I'm learning right now, I
Hmm.
do that thing publicly. I'm writing articles right now about Rust because that's what I'm learning and that's what
Yeah,
I want to communicate with people as well. So I really do believe that apart from your time, which okay is a big thing, there
yeah,
isn't anything else that is negative.
yeah. No, and Este's saying in the chat, "Oh my God, this is so sweet." Elif was worried about having what to say, and she's saying herself is she's more worried about saying too much. Well, I guess there could be that too. Um, and also, hey, RoboDom, thanks for joining us. Um, yeah, it's yeah. And the other thing too, this ties into all kinds of things, but like, I mean, you have a job right now, I have a job right now, but maybe something happens and that just doesn't work out for whatever reason. And also, hey, Violated Sign, thanks for joining us. Um, it's good to have that stuff out there. People are aware of who you are, as opposed to like, say all of a sudden you're unemployed and then it's like you kind of start scrambling to your network where people, if you're that's why, I mean, I do it mainly because I like engaging with the developer community, but I also know, and again, this isn't the reason, but like down the road, probably people are going to know, like, oh, well, Nick's been doing all this stuff. So, like, or, it could help, you know?
Yeah, obviously it can help a ton. Like people know your job.
Yeah. And yeah, so getting back to Este's question from before, she's curious about, I'm just going to read it here. What about AI enhanced blog posts? How can we compete with them? Interesting. Um,
I I don't think that it's about competition. I think it's about writing your blog posts. Maybe you can take the help of AI to write a better blog post.
mhm.
But so far, and with the people that I have talked with, and some of them are big writers, they don't write with AI because what AI produce is not in the level of a human. And I mean that okay, maybe the grammar is perfect, the punctuation is perfect, the spelling is perfect, uh, but you can see that it's written by an AI and not a human. And
Yeah.
I also know some people that they said, okay, let AI write an article for me, and then I'm going to change a few things on that article and I will publish it. And then they realize that it takes more time to change a few things in that article rather than writing the article by yourself. And again, I believe I'm saying all these things, and I believe that I have some experience exactly because I was working at Hashnot and I was speaking with a lot of speakers,
Hmm.
and they started saying the same thing, that AI is okay, but
Okay.
it's not going to replace writers or anything like that. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know,
And
Nick, what do you think?
yeah, no, I have some thoughts too. Robodom's just saying that they use AI to write a lot of their social media posts, but just for general posts, not necessarily like an article. Um, Mostly because they're not really active on social media, maybe Instagram. Also, a unicorn weed, welcome. Nice to see you. Um, yeah, I think the way I think right now, at least, a lot of people can tell when an article is AI. I think that will probably improve at some point where people might have a harder time distinguishing, maybe. But the way oh, Alex is saying on LinkedIn, by being human and clever, that's how we will beat AI. Okay. um, I don't know, the way I've been typically writing blog posts lately is I've been like, I go for a walk in the evening typically, and I started using this app. They're not sponsored or anything, but it's called Voice Notes
Hmm.
.ai, and I'll just, because like before, when I used to write blog posts, I'd be like, okay, I have to sit down in front of my computer. Okay, now I'm gonna write it, and now when I go out on walks, I just dictate it. That's where I kind of start my ideas, and then like and you can convert it to a blog post, like it just pulls out the text. But typically what I do is that's kind of how I start to shape things, and then I'll write a bit more once I have like a beginning of it, and then a lot of times I'll just go to like Claude or like Gemini, and I'll just say like, I'll literally paste in what I wrote, and then I'll say, could you suggest some improvements? And but I
Mhm.
don't take it literally like what they suggest all the time, and it might be like, oh, that one point, that's a good point, like because it'll say something like you have a strong article but you didn't provide an example for something or whatever. So I find it helpful in terms of like enhancing me, kind of giving me superpowers to finish my blog posts. And I don't do this all the time, but that's typically how I've leveraged it. And so it's more like not against AI, it's more like teaming up with AI, I guess.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's also another thing is that I have a similar approach as you described yours, but I also don't always trust AI because when I started working with Rust, I didn't have
Hmm.
experience before. And
Yeah.
sometimes I would ask help from an AI to provide me some code or to improve some code. And fun fact or weird fact, they didn't always improve the code, or they
Yeah.
were doing some stuff that I couldn't understand. And since I couldn't understand, I couldn't have them on my blog. And I felt that sometimes I was asking again and again the same questions, but the more I was asking the AI the same question, the answer that I was getting was worse than the first time.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, I stopped doing that after a while, and now what I suggest people is to ask AI for help. That's totally fine. That's what most of people are doing right now. But if you
Hmm.
are very, very beginner with something, don't blindly trust AI because sometimes they will
Yeah.
give you wrong facts or wrong code or whatever.
Yeah. No, totally. And uh, Essie's just saying she likes how I'm kind of approach writing blog posts right now, and yeah, I I think this is like just in general with AI, whether that's blogging or coding, like you were mentioning. I do think to some degree some jobs will be lost. I think it makes sense. It's like an industrial revolution, so like, but other jobs might be created,
Exactly.
but at the end of the day, at least right now, I don't feel fearful for my job or anything. If anything, I'm using these tools to just give me superpowers. And like you said, like Copilot's amazing, but sometimes it's just completely wrong. And so like there's also like how you ask things. You know, one thing I've actually found really helpful for me personally is if I'm using something like ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude, any of those chat interfaces, I've actually found, because like you'll say like, I don't know, um, give me an example of how the borrow checker works in Rust or something, and it'll give you something, and I'll be like, no, that's not what I meant, and then so it forces you to actually get better at communicating. I find, you know, it's like a literal rubber duck almost, and so like I could say like, that's good, but what I meant is when that happens, do this, but not that, you know, and I've found it's actually helped me clarify my thoughts better, if that makes sense. So
Yeah. Yeah, but I do use it for other stuff like social media posts and stuff. I
yeah,
I don't use it to create the content for me, but obviously I'm not a native speaker, so I do use it to help me with grammar or spell or stuff like that. And I would suggest to other people to use it in the same way as well.
yeah, no, totally. I'm just gonna respond to one of the chats here. Okay, and what else is SD had? Lots of great questions, by the way. ST's saying AI can help for sure if used the right way. So it is in your hands right now. Yeah, for sure. Uh, and there's definitely, yeah, the grammar checkers and stuff like what something like Grammarly or like
Yeah,
language tool. I think those things are helpful for sure because like you, that's the kind of thing where that's not really. I mean, it can improve the writing, like it suggests different words sometimes, but I mean, just for grammar and like spelling, it's super helpful. Like it's almost like you should like, it's always kind of Like I've heard like when people send resumes, there's a reason why they throw out resumes that have spelling mistakes sometimes. It's because like it's so easy to fix all those things now. So it kind of even if it's not your intention, it shows that okay, I didn't put in the time to submit this. So, anyways, that's a bit of a tangent, but what was I gonna say about the? Yeah, again, these are all just tools. Really, that's what it comes down to, I think, and it's how you use them. Like, um, I don't know. I was curious initially. Like, I tried to just have like some chat say like generate a blog post for me, and it was terrible. It was like,
Yeah, I think when that thing started, I also tried to generate some blog posts without me writing, because I
mhm,
always have ideas. I always know what I want to write about. So a lot of times I said, okay, let an AI write it for me. But then I really didn't like it, and especially for
yeah,
people that like you, that you have a big audience, and the people on dev too, they know how you write. They definitely know how you write. You
yeah.
cannot
There's
go to
that
an
too, for sure.
AI and let it write it for you. They will realize that it's not you.
Yeah,
And
no,
these
that's a
days,
good point.
I've seen that a lot on social media. Like there are conversations on Twitter, for example, and you will see some answers say, okay, this is a copy paste from an AI, and then the other
Yeah,
person sometimes reply, yeah, it's an AI reply, or no, no, I wrote it by myself. But I think that
yeah.
sometimes you can still understand who wrote that thing.
Yeah, there, there's one interesting aspect about I forget where I've heard this before, but like I'm a native English speaker, and like a lot of business documentation, I, I'd s- I'd say English is probably the main language in terms of business, and so I think tools like AI being able to help you write stuff is a superpower for people where like English or another language isn't their second language. Um, and I feel like it's a bit of a balance because like they they don't necessarily want it to say like write my whole blog post or whatever, but I can understand it being useful in that sense. So like and because it's not their first language, maybe that comes across as looking like AI as well. I don't know. I'm just kind of speculating here, but I know it's a great tool for people to learn things or help them in that respect. So I don't really
Yeah.
have an answer or anything there. It was more just a general observation, but
Yeah, for that thing is that even today I will not ask an AI to improve, for example, a whole section or like two paragraphs at the same time, um, because I feel that again the final result will not look like me. So
mhm,
sometimes I will just ask the AI to fix a sentence, and then in another paragraph fix another sentence that I know maybe I didn't wrote so well, but I wouldn't ask it to do something lengthy for me.
yeah, yeah. So that's just interesting. Um, I'm just gonna go ahead and drop links for where people can give you a follow again. Um, just trying to see if there's any other questions in the chat at the moment. Uh, Robodom is saying it's interesting to be at a time in the job market where social media can be influential in acquiring a job. Yeah, that's for sure. Like there was like I know Twitter/X has changed a lot, but a lot of the developer community is still there, and a lot of people have found work through there. So yeah, I definitely agree. And uh, I found I don't know about yourself, Eleftheria, but I find LinkedIn. I've been posting on LinkedIn for a while now, and it's I've definitely noticed an uptick there. I don't have as large a following as you on X, so that's probably part of it. But I've noticed that I have gotten more engagement on LinkedIn. So like this kind of goes back to what you were saying, just post everywhere or blog everywhere. So
Yeah, yeah. LinkedIn and Twitter or X are a little bit different on the content side of things. I still feel that LinkedIn looks a little bit more professional, but I also
mhm.
believe that recently they made some changes and things are getting better, because before that, a lot of people, they didn't like LinkedIn at all. They didn't have
Yeah,
engagement. They didn't have nothing, and they preferred Twitter. But right now,
Hmm.
I feel, maybe, I'm not sure, that maybe slowly is changing, because right now I see a lot of people that are disappointing with X and not
Yeah.
so much with LinkedIn.
Yeah, no, for sure. And wow, I know we said before the stream, like, I'm not sure if we'll have enough to talk about, but we're we're almost at time here. But uh, SC has another question. She's curious. Is, is LF's job related to more communities and building communities, or do you also work with individuals as well?
If you
Do
mean
you mean coaching SC, or I'm not sure what you mean? Oh, sorry. She has a follow up. She says, like individual developers standing up for them, things like that.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I do it individually as well.
Okay.
There is a platform that's called topmate.io. So
Okay.
if anyone wants to check that, I'm at topmate.io/Eleftheria Batsou, which is my full
Okay.
name. And I do this individually because a lot of people sometimes have questions and they want my opinion about how they want to grow on social media, or how they can stand out because they're looking
Hmm.
for a job. And I usually help them with personal branding. That's the main thing that I do.
Okay.
For example, right now I'm working with a developer who is very experienced, but he was never using social media.
Okay.
And right now he wants to use more social media because he understands that things are changing. And although he has a lot of experience, people or companies have started to looking on social media, and from there they are finding their developers. So he was like, okay, what can I do? How can I show that I have experience? How can I show that
Okay.
I'm passionate about that and that and that thing? So yeah, I like working with individuals, actually. Yeah.
Okay. That's great. Yeah. No, I created a TopMate account. I haven't done anything with it yet, and I got approved for it's called Code Mentor.
Yeah.
And I do want that's something I do want to pursue, like helping people. I've just been honestly super busy with my current job that I haven't had time to do it yet, but that's something I do want to explore, just also just for other avenues of revenue. But it's, obviously there's the good of helping people, but it's also nice to get paid too.
Yes, and that's the thing. So yeah, for me, I do that, but it's also a paid service on TopMate. And one of the reasons that I did that is that I was getting a lot of questions
Yeah.
about social media, and I couldn't reply to everyone. And there were also
Yeah.
some people that they were asking me very, very slowly some questions. So it was very hard for me to follow up with them.
Yeah,
So
for
right
sure.
now there is a free section that if you have any question, you can ask me on TopMate and I will answer you. But if you also want to go a little bit faster, there is this paid service as well. And
Hmm.
I found out that a lot of people also drop out. So after a
Okay.
few sessions, because I we work a lot of times together, or at least that is my plan, to work a lot of times with the same person, because with
Yeah.
just one session you usually cannot cover everything. And I found out that usually after 3 or 4 sessions they drop out, and it's up to
Okay.
them. I say, okay, we can do this 1 time per week, we can do this 2 times per month, whatever you prefer. And the other thing that I found out is that even when I had very low prices, so even when my rate was very low,
Yeah.
it didn't make any difference on
Okay.
sticking or not sticking. So let's say the problem or the issue was not the money,
Okay.
it was only consistency. So that's why I'm also a big believer of consistency. And if you start doing something, commit to that. And at first
Hmm.
you will have motivation, yeah, let's do that, but motivation at some point will faint out. So after
Yeah.
motivation you need to have dedication, and if you are very dedicated, if you have some clear goals, I'm sure that you can achieve everything.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, like you said, I mean, the money, yeah, violated sign is saying 100% consistency is key for sure. Like anything, it's whether it's programming, getting better at guitar or a sport, you have to put in time and keep at it. ST has another question, but yeah, I was gonna say too the monetary aspect too also kind of, I mean, obviously you're getting paid, which is great, but it also helps justify helping the people too, because it is your time, right? But that's awesome. Yeah, go ahead, SD. Lots of great questions, by the way. And yeah, we've still got about 14 minutes, so yeah, if we have a few more questions, go for it. Um, she says, LF, would you say that doing talks help you get more people to find you on TopMate?
Mm, I'm not sure about that. I think what helped me is the technical content that I created, because
Okay.
there are, yeah, because I believe that there are a lot of people out there that are in a similar situation that I am right now. For example, yes, I do have quite a few followers on X, but also, and there are a lot of people that have the same amount of me, so there are a lot of people that also have a lot of, or a big audience, but that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean that all of us have the same people on TopMate or other similar platforms.
Yeah, it's true.
Because when a developer will come to me, they will see my work, and they people want to be relatable. So someone that is a developer probably will look for another developer, and not
Mm-hmm.
just a person that has a big following, because maybe your goal is to have a bigger audience.
Yeah,
But if we dig a little bit deeper, you are a developer and you want your audience to be a developer, so probably you need guidance from someone that is also a developer, and from
yeah,
someone that also is doing that for a while. Because I had some friends here and there that I don't know what happened, but they blew up and suddenly they have like 70K followers on LinkedIn or on Twitter. And there were times that I was jealous, like, how did they do that? But even them, they didn't know what happened. And as I was following their journey, I realized that after a couple of months, they dropped out of Twitter, which was very weird for me, because I was at the point that I was trying to get bigger on
mm-hmm.
social media, and they were big. So it was like, okay, what happened? But the thing is that they didn't do that consistency. And
Yeah,
maybe they didn't care so much about that aspect. So I feel that what helped me is that other people saw that I'm doing this in a consistent manner, and I'm always on
yeah,
social media, like I'm every day there. So, and they can also find my job through different platforms. So some people
mm-hmm.
found me from YouTube, some people found me from my blog posts, and other people find me from social media.
Okay, yeah, yeah. No, that makes sense. And I remember I've spoken to Catalin Pitt a couple times,
Yeah.
like just through DMs, and he's saying like, because he has quite a large following on X. I think he has about 100,000 or maybe just over now. But
Yeah,
he
I think he has more. He's a great person. I know him.
okay, yeah. I'm hoping to meet him someday. But he said like it's great that I have like these 100,000 people following me, but he would rather have like quality connections with people instead, so like it is, don't get me wrong, it's still good that you have a large audience because you can help, promote things or put yourself out there, but it was just interesting of him to say that like I would probably rather have like 100 people that I think
True.
are awesome than the 100,000. But so and it's hard though because like I understand the feeling like like I said before, like I love doing the live streams and I like meeting people and exploring new technologies that I haven't used potentially, but in the back of my head, like my lizard brain, it's like my lizard brain or my caveman brain wants to have 100,000 followers, but but in reality, I don't. It doesn't bother me. It's just it'd be something nice to achieve, but it's not really why I do these things. But this gets back to your consistency that you were talking about, and I think
Yeah.
over time, because I have been slowly growing these platforms, but it just takes time, right? And so
Yeah, Nick, for you, I'm sure that you will grow because your content is amazing. You're using
now
different
it's making me
platforms.
blush.
So, yeah, I'm sure that your content will blow out someday.
Oh, cool. Well, thanks for the kind words. Yeah, we've got about 9 minutes left, but there's still a few questions. I hope you don't mind staying for a bit still.
Of course.
Um, Robodom saying, question for Eleftheria. Does the type or quality of content you post depend on what platform you're posting on? And you kind of mentioned before some platforms do better than others depending on the content. So I don't know if you want to elaborate. He's saying, I'd imagine X/Twitter has more casual content versus, say, LinkedIn.
Yeah, true. So there are a bunch of different things here. The first thing is that yes, different content is better for different platforms. For example, if I have a long article or if I have something more serious or more professional thing to say, I will
Hmm.
go to LinkedIn. If I copy paste the same thing on Twitter, people will see it, but on LinkedIn I will have more comments, more engagement, and more stuff
Yeah.
like that. If it's something short and maybe not that professional, I will prefer to post it on X. But by the way, I keep my social media as professional as I can. I will show my true self, but the reason that I'm doing social media is a professional reason, is because that I
Yeah.
am a developer or I do developer advocacy. It's not to promote myself as Eleftheria.
Hmm.
Um, the other thing is, and it's not exactly that question, so I will mention something a little bit different than the question.
Okay.
Is I noticed that on social media and more specifically on X, short content performs a lot better than long form content. Like
Hmm.
very very short things perform really really well.
Yeah.
And then some stuff that probably most of you know is that memes or funny stuff, they also perform nice, but I
Yeah.
don't do that because, as I said, I try to keep it a little bit more professional. And something that I do on my social media, and I believe that it also helped me to grow, is asking questions like developer kind questions.
Hmm.
And also I noticed the same pattern that when my question is formed in a short way, I will get more answers than the question if it's in 2 or 3 lines. So I
Yeah.
started having short questions. And something else is that I noticed that when it doesn't take a lot of time for the other person to reply to my question, so if it's something with yes or no, or morning or day, or coffee or
Yeah.
tea
Yeah.
or something very very small, I will also get more answers and more engagement. But again, keep in mind that this is I'm only speaking about engagement and answers, not followers. So it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that because I get a lot of replies, I will also get a lot of followers. I will actually get more followers when I do something meaningful. So when I actually provide value, that's
Yeah.
when I will get more followers. So if someone is trying to grow their social media, I really do believe that they should have a goal in mind. What do they
Hmm.
want to do? Do they want to have followers? Do they want to have engagement? Do they want something else? And based on what they need, they should form the content differently.
Yeah. I've definitely noticed that too, because like I know when I go on like a Twitter space, uh, I always end up getting like, I don't know, it varies, but anywhere from like 1 to 10 follows, and if you do that over time, it compounds. But also posting something helpful, like you said. Like I post occasional. I don't really do memes, but sometimes there's like you can share somebody else's video. Like I forget the name of the account. It's something like Bit Dean or something. It's a weird account name, but they have like funny videos. Like sometimes it's like a video of like pandas, just baby
Yeah.
pandas like tackling their trainer or something. So I'll share it and say something like, I don't know, code review or something, I don't know, something like that. But I generally don't do that often, and I mean I generally keep it professional, but I put my personality into what I post. But the other thing too is like you're not really posting. I don't post my entire life, like I don't
Yeah.
share. I never post anything about family on social media.
Me
That's
too.
just me. Some people do, and I'm not judging people. That's not what I mean. It's just it's not always necessarily like somebody's entire life that you're seeing, and it's also like Instagram versus real life
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And it's a lot easier to show like successful things than failures and so on. And so yeah, it's oh, and somewhat related, I guess, but SD says she loves cat posts. So if you want to post anything about cats, she'll probably like it. Cool, cool. Um, well, I gotta say, lots of great questions. I do want to be mindful of your time, Eleftheria, because we're almost at time here. I'm gonna go ahead and just drop. Oh, hey, Shock. Nice to see you. We're just wrapping up, but if you aren't giving Shock a follow already, just go ahead. I had a chance to talk with Shock about Skulk. Sorry, not Shock. About open source recently, so that was a great talk. But I'm going to go ahead and drop links where people can give you a follow. And also,
Okay.
I'm just going to drop some links again. If folks want to check out CrabNebula, I'll drop a link to that. And if you're interested in any kind of Tory
Yeah.
development, you can check that out. Tool 2. And yeah, like Eleftheria said, there's the Discord if you want to join the community. There's a lot of interesting tooling they have. They have the Torify tools and all kinds of other stuff. I encourage you to check out. And yeah, I just got to say I know we said I'm kind of laughing because we did say at the beginning of the stream before we went live, uh, I'm not sure if we'll have much to talk about, and like I feel like we could probably still talk for like another half hour or so, but
Yeah.
I do want to be mindful of your time. But this has been really
Yeah.
great. I love the conversation. Thanks so much for taking the time out of your day. I know it's a little later in Greece, so
Yeah, no, thank you very much. It was my pleasure being here, and I love talking about content creation, public speaker, developer advocacy, all those things. It's really my passion. I do speak a lot about those, so that's why probably we're here about 90 minutes. But thank you very much for our chat, and thank you everyone in the comments as well that helped us in this conversation.
yeah, yeah, no, yeah. Thanks. Great questions. I'm just gonna go ahead and drop the schedule. I'm gonna be hanging with Sam Julian from writer.com on Wednesday. We're going to be doing something interesting with Writer. I don't know exactly what yet, so check that out. And yeah, thanks again, everybody. And we'll see you on Wednesday. I'll probably be streaming tomorrow some work stuff, but Elefthera, if you don't mind just staying on for just a second. And
Yeah.
everybody else, thanks so much. Love the chat today. Take care, everybody.